2025. Is it time that we are all now lasering off all of our tattoos? I have seen Pete Davidson removing his tattoos. There are a bunch of girlies that are dissolving their filler and removing their tattoos. And oftentimes people are saying that that is a reflection of the political landscape, that we're moving more right. In my perspective, I am not lasering off any of my tattoos. If anything, I am actively seeking to get more tattoos. I often am asked if my tattoos are real because I do not have not one black tattoo on my body. I have always gotten brown and will always get brown. I don't think you could pay me to get a black tattoo. And the initial intention behind that was that I wanted it to blend into my arms and not be very dark. For me personally, I have really fair skin, so these are dark enough for me. I think black ink would have been even more contrast that I wasn't necessarily that interested in. I always get asked to what kinds of ink. I recently saw a TikTok comment about a video that kind of went viral of people saying, I want brown tattoos, but I don't know what inks to get. And so I have gotten multiple inks over the course of my entire tattoo journey. I started out with not really knowing and kind of just winging it with an artist that was willing to participate with me. I will say it is really difficult sometimes to have an artist who you like their art, but they're used to only doing black ink. They're not really the most comfortable doing brown. So I've always had to kind of be a guinea pig in this perspective because this isn't as widespread as a lot of the all black ink tattoos are. So the inks that I started out using was this one. It has a little bit more of that red undertone, which is more of like my birds or my sock. My clock is also in that same color, same with my mushroom. I'm almost positive this is in the same color as well. But as you can see, like this one here is a little bit more of an orange undertone. This one here is a little bit of a darker, more purple undertone. This one with my tabbies, it's a little bit more of that red undertone. So with all of them together, I do think that it gives a blend of dimension. I will say this orange undertone is not my favorite, so I will have someone go over that eventually. But when they're all together, I mean, some people hate the look of it, but I absolutely love it. So I'm gonna give you a full-on tattoo tour because I haven't done that in a really long time. I have mini ones on my TikTok account, but it is time to do a full tattoo tour. I'm gonna start out with my snake. This is one of the first ones that I ever got. I recently got a sword over the top, which I could have left some blanks in between so it actually looked like it was going through the snake, but I digress. I still really like it. The other ones around here are Heavenly, which I have a few from this artist. And then as you can see, my butterflies are probably the darkest that I have. I have them on both wrists. Over here, I also have a mid-century lamp. I am obsessed with vintage furniture, and my sibling and I have been vintage resellers on and off through the course of my 20s at least, and I definitely see myself doing that for the rest of my life. And so that's a really important one to me. And I also have a few pieces from this artist specifically. I have a cat because I'm absolutely obsessed with cats, a rainbow because hello, queer. Fernweh and Heimweh are on the insides of my arm, which mean wanderlust and homesick in German. I actually got these matching with one of my really good friends and a stranger when we were traveling in Spain. That is something that I also really like to do with tattoos, is anytime I'm traveling somewhere, if I can get on the books with a tattoo artist, either one that I like or spontaneously, I will 100% do that because it totally has a story and it brings you back to those memories. I also have my lovebirds, which one of them is holding like a little lovebird envelope. I want to add to this. I want to have like a huge kind of bow going over the top, and I want to add a little bit of hearts. Over here, I also have my chains, which I absolutely love this artist. She is in the Bay Area. I think she's in London right now, which is fun too, because oftentimes artists will go and guest in other parts of the world. It's like definitely a community that I love. So I have a few pieces from her. And then over on my other arm, I have this little angel, which is the same person who did my Heavenly across my forearm. I have my Tasmanian devil, which I got on Friday the 13th in the town that I'm from. I have little cherries from Tuesday, an artist in LA. I love his stuff. He has like the most random things, like this sock, which I find really fun. The letter E for my sibling's name. I also have dice with my favorite number and good luck. I have, like I said, this stem with some eyes that I actually got in Mexico, stick and poke. And then on the inside of my arm, I have the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, or one that is inspired by the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. I absolutely love the undertones and the messaging of Alice in Wonderland specifically, so that's why I got that one. This corn tattoo is the one that I get the most comments on. It is a Trader Joe's corn can, and the story behind that is that I was going to get it with a couple friends. They ended up backing out, but I'm still obsessed. It was because it was on a sticker that we got during a trip when we were all together, and it just was really sentimental. I showed you my tabbies, which I love tabbies. I think that they're so cool and so funky, and they're not really that different in like the alternative space, but in terms of the status quo, like when I worked in corporate America, I wore these and it was just so fun to just be a little bit different and off the beaten path. I have Good Boy on this side and then Lover Girl on this other side, which I didn't get them at the same time. I got Lover Girl on Valentine's Day, like 2 years ago. I took myself on a date to do it. So gotta love yourself first before you can love anybody else. I got this woman in Mexico and I recently got Lover over the top literally 2 days ago, and I just love starting to layer and putting more things together in sort of like a story. These flowers are also from this same artist. I also have a cowboy boot. This is matching with my sibling. They have the inverted flames, or I have the inverted flames. Either way, it's inverted. I also have a birthday cake with some cherries on the back of my arm, which again, this is more of like that red undertone. These angels back here are the same artist that did this little guy. And I love the little dainty pieces that you can just kind of mix and match. So what's left on this arm is I have these little cherub angels, which this is in a lighter, more orange undertone. I got this on Friday the 13th and I love it, and I can't wait to like fill in the space around it. Moving on to the next arm, I got Are You Alive or Just Existing from an apprentice, and you can see it's clearly like not straight. It was supposed to be squiggly, but this is also one of like my very first tattoos. I have 222 on here for the spiritual meaning of knowing that you're on the right path and everything will kind of happen the way that you want it to. On my hands, I have patience, I have an eye, I have a Scorpio, and then an Aries and a Jupiter. I'm a Scorpio sun and moon, an Aries rising, and then obviously Jupiter for abundance. I cannot wait to get more hand tattoos. I have a Betty Boop, which this artist in LA, I'm obsessed with her. I was waiting to get on her books for so long. She also did my martini glass. When I was in LA, I also got this skeleton with wings just to kind of conceptualize mortality and knowing that this life isn't forever, so you might as well make the most of it while you're here. I have a little locket with me because again, if you don't love yourself, how are you gonna love somebody else? This one is like a little bit of a bow ribbon situation, which I got in Mexico City, and it's just so fun, like I said, to get things when you're traveling abroad. This strawberry I got in Mexico and is matching with my sibling, and also one of the friends that was going to get the corn can ended up getting this later, so we all three have that matching. My little stars on my elbows are newer. It's also the same artist that did my chains, and then also this keychain on the inside of my arm, which I think is just like fun and cute and dainty. Like I said, this one's really new, this Ophelia type woman laying down in the river with flowers, again signaling our mortality and very poetic writer type vibes. My eyes are from the same apprentice that did this. He also did my hand tattoos, so not that I love this one. I can always either get it removed or I can go over it, but I do love my hand tattoos, so I still think he did a very decent job for still learning. The Girls, Girls, Girls is the same artist that did my stars and my chains. I have another big cat over here on my arm because I'm quite the cat lover. World's Best Kisser from Tuesday in LA. My oysters are from the same gal that did my Betty Boop. I got this fish the same time that I got my Lover Girl. You can tell the inks are the same, and it is belly up, and I didn't really think about that when I first got it, but honestly I still love it because it's swimming up when I have my arm down. I have my pack of cigarettes, which I like. This one is a little bit more in that brown undertone. I have another mid-century piece, which is my mid-century chair, and that is the same artist that did my stars and my chains. I have a yin and yang. I got that the same time as I got my snake, and I will say that it's much darker than I initially intended it to be, but as I add more around it, I definitely still stand by the symbolism of a yin and yang. And then I have a Y2K computer because one of my girlfriends and I, our joke is life is better offline, and so I just like to remind myself, not that I can see that very often, but life is great on and offline. I have a can of caviar because who doesn't love caviar? I know a lot of people don't love caviar, but I love caviar, and I also love potato chips, so it's just that perfect combination. And then this little diver is also from that same apprentice that did my other stuff, and I think this one turned out really well. I'm trying to build off of it and have the diver like actually diving in down my arm. And I think that really is all of the tattoos that I at least have on my arms right now. I have one on my neck that I need to get touched up. It says Wild. And then I have a couple on my legs and on my thigh, but those definitely need to be touched up as well. That is one thing about brown tattoos, is that depending on how your skin is, I have very thick skin, so my skin typically eats away at it. Sometimes it's really difficult to get the ink actually in the skin. So I have had to go over some of my tattoos more often than you would with black, just depending on the artist that you go to and their experience with brown tattoos. So overall, I'm still really happy with this decision that I ended up going with, because once you commit, you really commit, and it's different from a lot of the other kind of tattoo collections that I have seen. So I hope that's helpful for anyone who is thinking about getting brown tattoos. Eric and I are going to get tattoos today, which I'm really excited about. I have seen so much discourse online talking about how like we're moving into more conservative territory and just society because people are lasering off their tattoos, and honestly couldn't be me. I am trying to get on so many people's books, and my tattoo journey so far has been every time I travel somewhere, I try to get a tattoo as like a souvenir, because like how cool is it to get art from all over the world. And so today, I gave Eric one of my appointments, and then I rescheduled an appointment that I missed like a couple weeks ago, and I'm gonna get a couple of pieces. I'm gonna try to honestly get as many as I can. We always have to go into the city or like Oakland. You don't know, Eric and I have we used to be vintage resellers, and we're gonna drop off some of our personal collection because we're selling a bunch of our stuff so that we can get the heck out of the United States, or at least for now, and go travel for a while. I love full-time travel. I love being location independent. I love going to new places. So we're gonna drop off a table to someone. We have some bowls, I think, some vintage bowls and some embroidery wear that we just never ended up using. I'm gonna take you along with us. Pull your shirt up.
Yay. It's the dogs.
We have literally the same body. Yeah.